Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our City Commission meeting tonight. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll start off the meeting in a moment, but before I get to the action items, just want to let you know that we do have 4 scheduled public hearings tonight. I'll take 3 and 4 together because they're related to the same project. So if you are here tonight, then you want to speak on our special assessment nuisance rule, or the DeVries Jewelry redevelopment project, or the industrial development district for the project at 2150 Northridge. I'm going to ask you to stay put until I open up those public hearings. So we'll go ahead and get started today. If you would join me for a moment of silence and then Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll move through roll call. All right, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Next, that will take us to roll call.
Commissioner Knight?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Present.
Commissioner Moody?
Present.
Commissioner Perdue?
Present.
Commissioner Asasi?
Present.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Present.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes. Thank you. All right, and before we move to our first opportunity for public comment, and this is public comment on action items, so these are items that we voted on earlier today in one of our standing committee meetings that we'll be voting on tonight. Before I move to that, I'd like to introduce our translator. If you do need assistance with translation services, please let us know, and we will provide assistance.
Good evening. We're pleased to provide Spanish interpretation services this evening. It includes interpretation during the meeting and for those who want to provide public comment. Buenas noches. Estamos complacidos de proveer servicios de interpretación de español esta noche. Esto incluye interpretación durante la reunión y para aquellos que quieran proveer comentario público. Gracias.
Thank you. Thanks so much. All right, so next that will take us to our first opportunity for public comment. This is an opportunity for public comment really specifically on action items. So if you are here tonight to be speaking and you want to speak on something we're voting on, you can come forward to this podium. A couple things that we ask of you is that you share your name, the city that you live in. You'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. And for this item, for this opportunity for public comment, we ask that you be really explicit on what action item you're talking about. So if it's an item on fiscal committee or CD, let us know that. And then we also ask you to refrain from a number of things, including speaking to anyone in the audience. So your comments are to be directed at us. If you have questions, this isn't an opportunity for us to answer those questions. It's an opportunity for us to listen. We also ask that you refrain from swearing, cursing, making derogatory comments, or saying anything inappropriate to anyone in the audience. All right, and with that, I'll go ahead and invite the first person up. And again, please be explicit about what action item you're speaking to.
Commissioners, staff, fellow citizens. Daniel Scott, longtime resident of Grand Rapids, of course. Okay. Thank you. Again, my real identity is I'm a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay. Several paragraphs here off the internet about substance abuse and mental health issues. So would that be section 1 of the budget ordinance?
What item are you speaking about?
The substance abuse funding and courts, etc. Number 2. 61st District Court, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services. Well, I've spoken many times before about the solution to substance abuse, alcohol abuse, and again, the Holy Scriptures give the real solution. That is Jesus Christ. But also to do all you can as public servants and leaders to not perpetuate this problem. Again, if we have a substance abuse problem, and we do in this city, I see it very often, we need to stop giving licenses to weed stores and also to alcohol licenses. I see new ones coming up on the east side here, Chateau, Grand Rapids. Again, marijuana is just a gateway drug to many other serious drugs. Fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, and magic mushrooms. And we just saw the danger of magic mushrooms a couple days ago, where a so-called pilot was on a flight in California and almost murdered about 100 people because he was high on magic mushrooms. Is that going to happen in Grand Rapids? Riding on a public bus and the driver has decided to smoke marijuana before he drives or take some magic mushrooms? If we're going to deal with this problem, let's stop making it easy for people to partake of these dangerous drugs. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to close that public comment period, and that will take us to approval of minutes. Commissioners, can I get a motion for the approval of minutes from our October 10th meeting?
So moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. All right, next that will take us to petitions and communications.
Communication received from Mark Baker regarding street lighting.
That's received and filed. That will next take us to reports of city officers. We have 2 items before us tonight.
A comptroller's report for the period of September 27th, 2023 through October 10th, 2023 in the amount of $21,926,772.85.
All right, that is also received and filed.
A treasurer's report for the period of September 26th, 2023 through October 11th, 2023.
And that is also received and filed. All right, next that will take us to our consent agenda. Our consent agenda are items that we voted on earlier today where there was a unanimous vote. So tonight with one voice vote, we'll adopt those items. Commissioners, can I get a motion?
So moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. All right, that will take us to ordinances to be adopted, and we have one item before us tonight.
An ordinance amending Section 1 of the Budget Ordinance 2023-15 for fiscal year 2024, Amendment Number 4.
So moved.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioner O'Connor from our fiscal committee, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First 4 items are related to some grants that we receive every year to do a variety of partnership alternative courts with our 61st District Court, including an eviction diversion initiative, a substance abuse and mental health services administration grant, sobriety court, both drug and sobriety court, and an expansion of the program. 5, 6, and 7 are grants related to our police department. Item 8 is a replacement of several sets of bleachers here in the city that are in need of repair beyond, or replacement because they are beyond repair. Item 9 is related to an expenditure that we do every year, the past several years, related to storage of personal items that we do with Mel Trotter, so that there are places for folks in our unhoused community to have safe, clean, dry storage for their personal effects. Item 10, a community development lead hazard grant. Item 11 is a $6.6 million lead hazard reduction grant. So that's another, we continue to have these grants to help deal with lead-based paint in our homes. Item 12 is a grant to build resilient infrastructure. Item 13 is the expenditure for some improvements to the Oxford Trail, which is an exciting public greenway. Item 14 is some insurance for the Michigan Revolving Loan Fund. And item 15, which we talked about earlier today, was an additional $50,000 sponsorship to Art Prize. And we do have a minor reduction of $138,600 to our contingent balance due to the expenditure for the bleachers.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, this is a roll call vote tonight.
Commissioner Perdue?
Yes.
Commissioner Asasi?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Yes.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes. And Commissioners, can I get a motion to give this immediate effect? All
Moved. Support.
right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. All right, next that will take us to our scheduled public hearings. We have, as I said, 3 of those, technically 4 on the schedule, but I'll combine items 3 and 4. They're related to the same project. And so the first one is a City Commission. Tonight, we sit as a Board of Review to hear appeals related to Special Assessment Nuisance Rule 8782. So for this item, we'll have our amazing city assessor come up, tell us about this. And this public hearing is only for individuals who are on this nuisance roll who want to have an appeal to this body. And then, Polly, you'll probably be available out in the hall?
Room 921.
In room 921. So we'll start it off with our city assessor, and then if you want to speak, if you are on this roll and you want to appeal one of those items, you can come forward, and then we'll follow up with you directly. All right, go ahead.
Good evening. July 25th, the City Commission issued the order for the assessor to create the Special Assessment Rule 8782 of unpaid charges for services and code violations due and payable to the City of Grand Rapids that were issued January through June of 2023. Property owners were sent notices on September 7th and notified of the charge and the appeal process. The special assessment roll has been open for public inspection for at least 2 weeks, which we started on September 7th all the way through to today. And in addition, we have posted the entire assessment roll to the city website. Up to this date, we've received no appeals, but tonight is the last opportunity for anybody to file an appeal. And I will be in room 921 for anybody that wants to submit an appeal.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So is there anyone here tonight that is on this nuisance roll who wishes to file an appeal? Anyone? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close that scheduled public hearing. And that, I believe, will be referred back to, it's just closed. So thank you to our city assessor for all of her work. All right, next that will take us to our second public hearing. This public hearing to consider a brownfield plan amendment for the DeVries Jewelry redevelopment project located at 433 Leonard Street Northwest. So all of the notices for this have been made pursuant to state law. So we'll start with Mr. Klooster. Tell us about this project. We'll see if there are any questions from around this table. And Jono, do we have somebody here? Do we have Todd with us?
We do have guests for both of these projects with us this evening. Do we have a slide?
All right, well, we'll start with you, Jono. And, you're pulling up a PowerPoint. Thank you.
This is the DeVries Jewelry.
Yep, the DeVries one. All right, thank you. I think many of us are familiar with this location and this great company. There you go.
Great, thank you. Good evening. Happy to be here tonight. This first public hearing is on a brownfield plan that's been submitted by DeVries Jewelers, long-standing company, been located on Leonard Street since 1901, and in their current location there since 1965. The project involves the demolition of the vacant, what's currently known as the Lanning's Restaurant at 433 Leonard Street. That's property that qualifies for the brownfield program because it is contaminated property. The redevelopment will include the construction of what you see on the screen here, a beautiful 2-story, 6,700 square foot building for DeVries Jewelers. They currently have 12 full-time employees and plan to add up to 4 new full-time employees with wages of approximately $20 an hour. The brownfield plan will assist in the redevelopment. There are about $300,000 of brownfield eligible costs for environmental assessment, demolition, lead and asbestos abatement, site preparation, and public infrastructure improvements. The reimbursement of those costs would occur from the new taxes generated by the redevelopment over a period of 14 years. This project did receive approval from the Planning Commission, which considered the request to build 59 parking spaces here. And that request was considered because it was in excess of that allowed. But the intent is to have 21 of those serve the development and the additional parking serve the remainder of the great businesses along Leonard Street and contribute to parking availability in that area. That was supported by the West Grand Neighborhood Association, which had received a presentation from the applicant as well. The project is about $2.2 million redevelopment. The Pinnacle Construction is the contractor and has a target of 10% of that construction value for minority-owned, women-owned, or micro-local contractors. The Brownfield Authority did approve this project and recommend it to you on September 27. And we do believe this is a great addition to Leonard Street, contributing to the vibrancy over there. And I will invite, at this time, James Lewis and Dan DeVries up to talk about their project.
Great. Hi. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for your time tonight. I'm Dan DeVries from DeVries Jewelers. Been on Leonard Street. Our family's been on Leonard Street since 1901, 5 generations now, and really looking forward to changing the Lanning's property and putting a new store up there. I think it's going to be a great addition to Leonard Street, and it's going to continue the revitalization of what's going on there. We're able to provide parking for a couple other businesses in the neighborhood that have also come in. So, yeah, hiring more people, and we're just excited about the project and appreciate your support.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, welcome.
Hi, James Lewis, Pinnacle Construction. I don't really have anything to add, but thank you to Jono and his team for shepherding this through, and looking forward to getting this project off the ground, and thank you for your support.
Yeah, thanks. Many of us have driven by that building for years now and have been excited about it being redeveloped. So, Commissioners, any questions or comments before I open up for public comment? Commissioner?
I just want to say thanks to Dan and his family, and I know this has been in the works for a long time, and I'm extremely thrilled to see it finally coming forward. And I know a lot of other folks on the west side and along the Leonard corridor are thrilled about this project happening. So,
Yeah, thanks. Commissioner?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just also adding my thanks. I've had several family members who have bought engagement rings and presents from DeVries Jewelers over the years. So not only have you had an impact on the greater West Side, but have a legacy with our family as well too. So we just thank you for your presence, and glad you chose to rehome on the West Side. So.
Thanks. All right, is there anyone here who wishes to be heard on this public hearing tonight? All right, seeing none, I'll close that public hearing, and that will be referred back to our Committee of the Whole. All right, next that will take us to our last scheduled public hearing tonight. Commissioners, I'm going to put these two together. So these are public hearings to consider establishing an industrial development district for Ascent Fine Cabinetry at 2150 Northridge Drive Northwest, and this is in the Walkerview Industrial Park, as we refer to it. And also related to that is a public hearing to consider an application for an industrial facilities exemption certificate for the same property. And so we will open these up for public comment. Again, we'll start off with Mr. Klooster. We'll invite the representatives to come forward to say a few words if they would like, and then we will open it up for public comment.
Very good, thank you. So these two hearings are at the request of Ascent Fine Cabinetry Incorporated, which, as you may suspect, is a cabinet building company that's located outside of the city currently in space that they have outgrown. The company was founded in 1990 as a residential builder, but really became the company it is today, focusing on custom cabinetry for its customers in the residential market in 2017. So quickly has grown and needs to expand. This property is located in the Walkerview Industrial Park, which the city helped, in cooperation with the city of Walker, develop the infrastructure for that. And we've really seen some great activity out there, local companies investing, expanding, and creating jobs for Grand Rapids residents. So this project at 2150 is on about 2150 Northridge Drive Northwest, is about 2 acres. And Ascent plans to construct, as you see there, a 15,600 square foot facility that'll approximately triple their manufacturing space. And they will bring their existing 10 employees and then add 5 more employees over the next several years with average wages of about $24 an hour. The project is about a $2 million project. It's going to be managed by the company, Mr. Todd Wilde, who you'll meet in a second. And he has a target of nearly 5%, or about $94,000 of that cost for micro-local, minority, or women-owned subcontractors. And again, just continuing to build out that business park with good paying jobs and new investment for residents of Grand Rapids. So with that, I will invite Mr. Wilde up, President of Ascent Fine Cabinetry, to talk a little bit about his company and his project.
All right, great. Thanks, John, and welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thanks for taking the time to hear me out tonight and hear about our business, and your consideration of the tax abatement is much appreciated. So, yeah, as Jenna kind of went through, I'll try to keep it short because he covered a lot of what I was going to tell you. But yeah, I started out as a builder in 1990, and over the years have worked into where I'm only doing custom cabinetry now. We have outgrown our space in Ada, and now this new facility in Walker, we can eventually build 30,000 square feet. We're going to start with 15,000. We'll phase in the other portion as time goes on in business requires that. So we just purchased this ground in April. We plan to start construction next month and hope to occupy by next summer or early next fall. So we'll be bringing the 10 employees we have, hope to bring in 5 more when we get things up and running. And then if we put on the phase 2 expansion, we'll be bringing obviously more employees at that time. So. But yeah, I'd just like to say thanks for your consideration for this abatement. These savings will help us cover future hiring ventures and machinery, and not to mention the cost of construction and machinery is about 20% more than I had planned for. So that will be applied well towards all that. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right. If you are here tonight to be heard on this industrial facilities exemption certificate, you're welcome to come forward. All right, seeing none, I'll close that scheduled public hearing, and that will also be referred back to our committee of the whole. All right, thank you for coming, and good luck with that. Next, will take us to our last opportunity for public comment. So this is public comment on any other item that you wish to speak on. Again, we ask that you come forward, share your name, the city that you live in. We'll give you up to 3 minutes to speak.
How you doing, beautiful people? I am D. Jones. Just got back from Oakland, California. Got this beautiful Black Panther shirt out there. I actually seen the Black Panther Foundation and everything else. It was cool. I was out there for the Green Lining the Block event because got a $200,000 grant. I'm one of the people that work for C4, and we were going to develop a ride share, and I'm really happy about this because it'll be the first one in the state of Michigan, and we'll be developing this ride share. And I've connected with actual Black-owned electric vehicle companies, and I've connected with a lot of people. I even connect with people for the Oakland's mayor. I didn't know it was an Asian woman. I got to speak to her about esports. I even went to this event, and it was the Oakland libraries and libraries across Kent County. I mean, not Kent County, but California. And I got to speak to them, and I actually went to this, as I was staying at this hotel, everything was free. And I thank C4 for the opportunity because it's a part-time job, but I actually got to go to an event, and everything was free. And opportunity of a lifetime. And the hotel we were staying at was right around from this game center. It was the only game center of its kind on the planet, of the face of the universe. And I ended up walking to this game store because we were going to this event, and I was like, I'm gonna go over there. Let me just go over there. I'm curious. And so I ended up going over there, and I ended up walking in, and it said game design, game development. I was like, oh, no, this is just too crazy. So I ended up going over there, and I was just like, hey, I see that you guys do game design and stuff like that. Are you guys connected with Epic Games? And Epic Games is the game publishing company that makes Fortnite and the Unreal 5 engine and all of these cool gaming tools that I got all across the United States in different states, different entities and things like that. And they were like, no, we don't have those. So I happened to walk on the table, and I seen this cool pin, and it said Epic Games. I said, I know Epic Games, and I have a direct connection to the person who's the head of education for Epic Games, and would you guys like that connection? So I made a connection in California, and while I was out there in California, Epic Games connected to this game designing company. They have something called the Oakland Promise, and I just basically connected an organization and helping develop infrastructure, and I'm going to be doing some stuff out in California, as I've already been doing stuff around here. And I've even connected with the White House, and I was cool. As I was here in City Hall early, I was here earlier than some of the people that work for the city, but I was back there and I was actually typing a paper that I actually had to send to the White House. And so I'm really excited for the work that I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to talk about all of these things or talk about myself. I'm just know that I'm going to change my community, and I'm making an economic impact, and I'm really going to change the world one day, universally. I even working with Fifth Third Bank to get the financial banking industry involved in gaming, and they're going to start developing their service centers, and they're going to start turning them to educational centers. And I'm really excited about the work. I'm really going to be doing some powerful things, and I'm not going to be talking about it a lot. I'm just going to continuously show the work and continuously be the change I want to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right, others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Alicia, thank you. From Kent County, Mayor Bliss, it was nice running into you at Art Prize. It was lit. It was lit, and I had to get my dance on, you heard? But I'm down here because I wanted to talk about transportation as far as Grand Rapids Public Schools. I think they need to reinstate transportation because there's been a lot of problems at the Central Station. A few months ago, I went down there, and I do a lot in Grand Rapids, but on this particular day, I went inside the Central Station to get a snack, and the vending machines were gone. And I was like, wait a minute. I wanted to know why they were gone. They disappeared like a bad fart in the wind. So I had asked about it, and I was told that one of the students had broken the vending machines. And I was disheartened by that because a lot of people are inconvenienced. I avoid the Central Station between 2 and 5 o'clock because it's just too much to deal with. Now, I remember when my daughter was a year and a half, she's pushing 19. I got on the number 11 bus to go to the Central Station, and it was so packed with students, I had nowhere to sit, so I had to have my toddler on my hip while holding on to a bar. And the bus could have come to a screeching halt, and if my daughter would have been hurt, it would have been curtains for the Rapid. I would have sued them because we shouldn't have to be inconvenienced because of these students' behaviors. A lot of them are vociferous, they're unruly, they're disrespectful. A lot of them have no respect for authority. And I've been on the buses before, and I've seen teenagers, well, they were sitting next to me vaping, and I had to say something because I didn't appreciate it. I've seen several teenagers vaping on the bus, and all of them aren't like that. There are a lot of good kids out here, so I don't want to throw them in the same category. However, it's an inconvenience for other riders. And it's to the point where I don't even want to ride the buses anymore. I have no option because I don't drive, but it's an inconvenience having to get on the bus and it's packed, having to wait for another bus or sometimes a couple of other buses. So I just think Grand Rapids Public Schools need to do better because it's been at least 20 years. When I was going to Grand Rapids Public Schools, they had busing. We shouldn't have to go to the Central Station and see cops down there and teenagers on the ground and being arrested because of them fighting and acting up. I'm a mom, I know how I can be. Some teenagers, they do what they do, but at the same time, it's a really bad situation sometimes. And so I just think they need to get it together. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Joyce P. Gibson, and I've been a Grand Rapidian for close to 3 years now. And I'm a Michigander for almost my whole life. That should qualify me to run for office. The reason I'm presenting is because I plan to compete for governor in 2026. If I get the office of governor, I will appeal and litigate Proposal 3. For anyone who does not know, Proposal 3 allows minors under the age of 16 to get a procedure without the knowledge or consent of a parent. And under my administration, anyone coaching, suggesting, or luring a child either to get an abortion or the pill or a gender-changing operation would immediately be fired, fined, prosecuted. Furthermore, their name will be put on a sex offender list. I will enforce this prosecution with all of my resources. Finally, I will blatantly and unapologetically say a man cannot have a baby. And I repeat, no man can have a baby. Thank you.
All right, others wish to be heard?
Thank you, Joyce, for sharing those truths. I wanted to publicly commend Karen Whitsett, African-American Democrat politician from the east side of the state, who has boldly and courageously spoken out, even against those in her own party, to say that she will not vote for the Reproductive Health Act coming out of Lansing. We need more of those in public office, speaking out against murderous abortion. I learned recently at the Kent County Commission meeting that, from Adam London personally, good news, they will not and have not sending any funds to Planned Parenthood or any of their programs. I would hope that Grand Rapids would do the same. The Lord will bless you for that. Again, I want to draw your attention to what's going on at 425 East Cherry, called Planned Parenthood, or as I call it, Planned Genocide. No, they do not do the surgical murders, but they're dispensing the murder pill, even without prescriptions, to teenage girls. And making them, many of them, permanently unable to have children after that. When they take these pills, it starves the baby. And of course, the baby is discharged into the toilets, and it does contaminate our water. Do the research on that. I was called a liar a couple of meetings ago by someone about that, but it's true. Since the FDA rushed this drug through the approval process in 2000, the rate of chemical abortion pills related to ER visits in America has increased by 500%. In fact, more women are dying from this pill, RU486, than from surgical abortion ramifications. 425 East Cherry. It's in our city. It's murdering babies. It's murdering mothers. And if we want God's blessing on this city, I would hope that we could do all we can to shut that place down. Again, this is what the originator of Planned Parenthood said, Margaret Sanger. We don't want the word to get out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. They are human weeds, reckless breeders, spawning human beings who never should have been born. And I'm glad to speak at Ku Klux Klan meetings, and Adolf Hitler is one of my good friends.
Okay, your time's up.
Founder of Planned Parenthood said that.
All right, others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Shai Quesada, and I am from the 3rd Ward. And I would like to speak about a situation that happened around 2 weeks ago. A 17-year-old known as Franklin Mariko was murdered, and this ties back into what I spoke about at the last City Commission about minors having the accessibility to firearms. And I would also talk about how mental health in teens is overlooked, because imagine how the friends of this person, feelings are hurt by this, and nobody is looking towards these teens on how they are affected by these murders that continue to happen over and over again. And these teenagers are look to bad coping mechanisms, and they wonder why, but the city and its officials do not look for them and to care for their mental health, and I think that should be looked in more for teenagers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Iris Gibson, and I am a resident of the 3rd Ward. And tonight, I would like to talk about our housing here in the city of Grand Rapids. As we move into the planning with the community master plan, I would love to just offer up some things that I would love to be considered as this planning is going forward. One experience I will share is that I experienced homelessness, okay? And working with an agency here in Grand Rapids that helps with homeless. I won't mention their name, but so my point of sharing my experience here is one thing came up for me with my experience with dealing with this agency. My case manager, who was assisting me with obtaining housing, fresh out of college, not even from the city of Grand Rapids, no kids. So there was no experience that I was getting from her to relate and to help me further. So my comment is it's very important that we come up with solutions to diversify the staff that are in these agencies, because we are having to, we are already stressed out and having to, face these barriers for us obtaining homelessness. And, it's like, there's no relationship building, there's no trust, there's no mentorship. So I would also like to consider offer up some solutions of how we can do this, and I'll give an example of what I mean. Whenever you go to get assistance, you are basically given an intake process of which your credit report is ran, which, they get your employment history, they get your education level, and they also have you create a goal and a plan of how you would like to achieve your self-sufficiency to housing. So upon that, my experience would have been totally better if at that moment all of my things were assessed and then I was immediately placed into programming or things that would actually help me get to housing faster. But because of lack of experience or who I was dealing with, they didn't know how to help me either. And so it got to a point where I was backed into a wall with so many barriers to obtaining housing. It ended up coming to the point where they wanted to exit me from the program.
Thank you for your comments. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Time is up. No, and if you have anything in writing you want to share with us, you're welcome to do that as well.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. All right. Others wish to be heard?
Hello. My name is Chris Quesada. I'm from the 3rd Ward, and I would like to talk about some innocent young black men like me. Like, I like to talk about some situations that I've experienced and stuff like that, because how some young black men can't really do much throughout how other people see it as. Some of us, look like thugs and stuff like that. Like, I know I'm somewhat an intimidating guy and stuff like that, and I've been through some kind of experiences, like grown men just looking at me and stuff like that. I'm always in some kind of situation and stuff like that, and I've been through some experiences like that, and around here, because there's some good people that don't really do nothing, and they just end up in some kind of trouble and stuff like that. And I just want to make sure there's more lookout to that. Like, y'all should pay more attention to that for real, because some of us really don't really deserve all this kind of stuff. Like, there's really good people out here that really just want to live and just be on their own, actually do this. Some of us can't do that through mental health and throughout what's gonna happen next, and not having to worry about something all the time. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right.
Hello, friends. Mark from Grand Rapids. I want to talk about the 18 to 39 demographic, the millennials and Gen Z. This is for y'all. Register to vote. Your demographic is the lowest voter turnout in this country. That's a fact. If you want change, go out and vote. If you don't like the people and the issues that they support, that you support, that they don't like, vote them out. That's how you do it. It's not that hard. Get registered right now. Because trust me, in 2024, if you don't vote, things could get worse. Because you know, there's some nutcases out there that are putting their hats in for President of the United States. There are nutcases out there that are putting their hats in for positions within the federal, state, and local governments. These people are dangerous. Because if you don't vote, don't come complaining and say, oh no, we got some nut job fools in here taking away my right to do, taking away my rights to whatever my right is. So if you will sit back and watch Gossip Girl or whatever and not vote, that's on you. Voting has consequences. So I'm urging all y'all to go out, get registered right now. Because if you don't come to me because I told you so. And don't come near me if you don't want to, because if you don't vote, don't come near me. Because I'm telling the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right, others wish to be heard? Hi.
My name is DeMarshawn from Grand Rapids, and today I want to talk about Substance Abuse and Awareness Month. I feel like vaping, marijuana, anything like that, weed is too accessible for kids, not even just teenagers my age, younger kids. And I hate to say that I experienced my little cousin in the bathroom, 8 years old, vaping. And I feel like it's very dangerous to vape that at that age, because it could cause cancers, lung damage, and they doing it because they think it's cool. And I'm just trying to figure out how it's so easy for an 8-year-old to get a vape. And not saying I'm a perfect kid, I'm not. Being that realism is loyalty really helped me wake up, realize a lot of stuff is not good. And I just feel like vaping and stuff is way too accessible for children. And you can't even go to school without seeing somebody vaping in class. And I feel like they're basing it towards us because last week I seen a pen, like a vaping pen, disguised as an actual pen. And like I feel like, why is they making pens like that? Like, to see a kid acting like they writing, and then when the teacher look away, that's all I really gotta say.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard? Lou, can you help? Lou, can you?
Oh, you're good.
Oh, you're okay.
Thanks.
All right. Hi, welcome.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Mae Frazier. It's good to see some of you who I know and good to meet the rest of you who I don't. I'm here tonight actually with a few of my students from Gerald R. Ford Job Corps, so thank you so much for having us. They're my student government students, and hopefully we're going to be able to come regularly. This is a fantastic thing for them to be able to experience and be able to see how much the things that they're doing on a smaller level can translate into a citywide community organizing type activism, all of the good things, and effort. I know that was some word jumble, but that's okay. I really appreciate the things that was on the agenda tonight. I love seeing DeVries on there. That's actually where my ring is from. And I just like hearing about these things. I know it wasn't part of the agenda tonight, but we came from a Link Up event where we did the 20-year master plan. I don't know if there was a discussion before we arrived, but when we got there, it was really cool to be able to look at the survey type information. And so I really just wanted to speak on my perspective on that. I was in Grand Rapids my whole life. And then I got priced out last year, and I live in Comstock Park at York Creek Apartments now. I'm happy to have trees and be with a new set of neighbors, but it is really hard not being in my house that I was on Bridge Street for 10 years. And so I really appreciate that there is a lot of community input and opportunities, and I hope that you'll consider affordable housing as a priority so that folks don't get pushed out of the place that they live. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your work at Job Corps. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hello, my name's Libby. I'm from the 2nd Ward. And tonight I just kind of wanted to come here and say how disappointed I am with this commission. I had high hopes. I had high hopes for a commission filled with women and people of color. And unfortunately, I have felt as if the input, which is great, we've had lots of opportunities to have input, is not being taken seriously by this commission. There have been a lot of changes in the city of things that I have been really confused about. I'm not sure why we're not getting any sorts of mailings anymore when our streets are going to get ripped up. I'm not sure why we're not being contacted. I'm not sure why the city has stopped communicating with us, the residents of the city of Grand Rapids. I understand why you may not want to hear all of our input, or maybe why you don't feel that that input is part of something that is for our benefit. But I really wish that our input was taken more seriously. I also, I hope I'm not saying anything out of turn here. I know the mayor has sold her house or is selling her house. And if she is leaving the city, it doesn't seem like her interests are, you're not leaving the city. Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because every mayor in my lifetime has left the moment they've gotten off this commission. Nope. And I don't want to have people making decisions for us that don't have any intention of staying here in our city. So I appreciate that. And I hope somebody gets a nice, cute little house.
Thank you. All right, anyone else who wishes to be heard? All right. I'm going to close that public comment period, and I will turn to my colleagues. I'll start down here with Commissioner Knight.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out and sharing your thoughts. Just a few things on some of the things that we talked about here tonight. First of all, I want to thank the office, our community's children, who brought in some of the youth that they were working with and the work that they're doing, especially promoting out-of-school time efforts. So that's after-school programming, before-school programming, during-school programming that a lot of nonprofits and for-profit organizations are doing to make sure that there's opportunities and things available for our young people to be engaged in. So I'm grateful to see Mr. Chapman and his young people come here tonight and express their concerns about things they're seeing. Your voice is important, and I say this often, use it, because that's the only way that you're going to create and see change. But I'm also going to challenge you to be active, and I'm sure you have heard this from the leaders that are around you, to utilize that voice, especially the young man that talked about young kids vaping. I know that's a lot of work that I did formerly with the Urban League, and really talking about how these things impact the health of our young people and our environment. So I encourage you to continue to speak up and use your voice and be active in that change, to change the systems and policies that affect us and impact us negatively. be that influencer. I know Mr. Commissioner Robbins talked about that earlier as we talked about and got a briefing on the changes with information in the city of Grand Rapids and how we communicate back and forth with the city and how we listen to, as Commissioner Perdue said, what they actually need so that they can get the information that they need to have to be productive, to engage with the city, to engage with us as commissioners. And I know that's important. I think a lot of us have websites and emails. Okay, I ain't gonna lie on everybody. So I'm speaking it on you. But ways for people to engage with us. And if there's things that you think that you're missing, that you may not be getting or hearing from the city, we have cell phones, we have city phones, we have Facebook pages, social media. 50 million people have my phone number. I'm sure they have everybody else's, but if they don't, you know how to find us because we're everywhere, right? So if there's something that you're missing, if you don't reach out, closed mouths don't get fed. If we don't know, we can't do anything. At least that's what I've always been told. So feel free to reach out and let us know what we're missing. I know the city has, Professor Green gave us a dissertation this morning on the changes that the city is making with that communication, and it's huge. And it made me happy because the city's website gives me hives sometimes. Most times. But I was really excited to hear about the things that they're doing to make these changes so that we can communicate with people better. So in that space, I'm going to ask for a little bit more patience, but I am going to say if there's things that you're missing or that you need, there's a bunch of us up here that are accessible. Reach out. And for our young people, continue to do what you're doing. I'm proud of you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for using your voice, and continue to do what you're doing in this community.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Robbins?
Nothing else to add from mine. Just good to see everyone and enjoy your evening.
Thanks. Commissioner Moody?
I would like to thank the young people for coming out and making your statements. Your statements are heard, and your statements are real, especially with the young man who mentioned about the perceptions of other people looking at you as a thug. You are not a thug, and you don't look like a thug. That's their perception. But you do feel sometimes the energy what people display to you. I would encourage you to continue to grow and continue not to fall into that category of thinking that way. You are with a good group. Mr. Chapman is a good man. His program is dynamic. And if there's anything that I think you need most of all is to continue to get some good mentorship. The other thing that I want to talk about is the young lady who mentioned about the trauma when it comes to death or people dying from gun violence. I see it. I witnessed it on a number of different occasions, and yes, you're right. There needs to be some counseling in place, and I do think that the school system has counseling for individuals who perhaps need it. I also think that Mr. Chapman knows also places that you can go to get counseling as well. The trauma is real. I witness it. I see it, and I feel your pain. It not only does it affect you, but it affects me also because I deal in that industry where I have to deal with families who are going through that. But I thank you for speaking up. All of you, don't stop. Continue to come. Your voices are very important to the city.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner O'Connor? Commissioner Isasi?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll echo those sentiments about, coming to the meeting. There's been a lot of stuff going on. I think this month, lots of different activities and events. I had the chance to go to the Nika Neighborhood Association last week. Some of you might recall this was not this past summer, but last summer, neighbors coming together around some of the noise pieces at the Hearthside food location, and there was a lot of gratitude to our Public Works Director, to our city attorney and deputy city attorney, and Michael in the city department, and just to work to resolve that issue. So thank you. That was actually one of the first emails I got in my inbox almost 4 years ago.
It was an issue when I was commissioner.
So we got it done, and sometimes I think we want things done right away, and I'm not saying that everything takes 4 years, but sometimes there are processes and there are different people's rights we have to consider when we do this work, but that was a good thing to celebrate. Never got flowers from a city meeting, so. Last night also had a great opportunity to connect with our East Hills Council of Neighbors. I want to just congratulate them. They were in a spot where they were almost going to dissolve, and they've been able to bring that back to a really good spot with great volunteers, many who are leaving. So if anybody lives in East Hills and wants to be on their board, they kept saying it's a vibe, and I kept thinking about you, Commissioner, because it was a vibe last night at Wealthy Theater, and they had also a lot of appreciation for our community development department and the work that they did to make sure that they were in compliance with all our federal grants. So I do want to give those shout outs out. I think the message around that Libby, you shared around the construction pieces, I always say, like, how do we not assume worse in trying to find a solution? This is the second time that I've heard that from a neighbor, that there has not been appropriate notification. And Juan Torres usually keeps us really updated, but I will just highlight that, Juan, if you're listening, this is, I think, the second time in a couple of weeks that I've heard that. I don't know he knows the details about at least one. But this is also, I also got to give a shout out to, where'd Mr. Kane go? He's probably working, doing something. But we had an amazing, amazing Safe Pitch Task Force night last week. It exceeded our expectations. We were able to host it in Commissioner Lanier's new building at Genesis Suites in the 3rd Ward. And we gave out 5 different awards for those that were working to reduce gun violence and the effects of gun violence in our city. So again, thank you to the young people who came out. There were some really good projects, some that were new, some people who were able to connect and coordinate, but we had to focus on how to reduce that impact of just having the accessibility to guns that those that are not trained, those, who are, we've heard a lot of those stories. So many thanks to Ami and to Long and to Asante, past city staffers who came to help. It was a really, really good event. He took all of our recommendations and he just exceeded our expectations. So very happy with that event. This is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In this city, as we talk about violence, I don't know if this is the actual right statistic, but so many of our homicides are occurring because of a domestic violence situation. I think a high amount of our calls for service are due to these issues. And, unfortunately, we've seen some very high profile cases this year where individuals were killed with, their young children by them, near them. And this is just something to me that we have to work to continue to try to stop. And what we also can't stop, how do we work to heal? I've had a chance to meet with some different representatives over this month. Safe Haven was on the board of the Y, other neighborhood associations that are, I think sort of in a post world of Kent County ARPA dollar funds being dispersed for the Stevie Court, for our DART program changing and going away, and then coming back, but it, changing. Just asking, how can we have more support around this work? And so I really look forward to discussing all that we're going to discuss on October 31st. And for me personally, as we think about violence in this community, how can we be the best support as the city? I think we're sort of on the front end sometimes, but how do we work collectively? That doesn't require us just to be inside our department. That means we need people to work with victims. We need people to work with these coordinating communities, and just the needed support of this work in our community. So I wanted to highlight that this month and thank those organizations. Thank you to Carissa Novak in our police department who does this work, and just continue to highlight that as we go into those conversations. And then lastly, a point of privilege. It's been a year and a couple of days since my cousin was murdered here in the city of Grand Rapids on the west side. I want to thank the good work of the police department and other agencies that are continuing to look for who killed him that evening. There is now a $7,500 award, which I don't know if that's considered high or not, but I think it's significant. And I'll just use this time to continue to ask anybody who knows anything about his murder to take a look at the video. There was a good story last week that highlighted, a really, really grainy video, but I believe crimes like these are solved by people just reaching out, connecting with somebody, to say something, and I know sometimes that's hard in our culture and society, but our family would really appreciate that closure. So thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. And thanks for highlighting Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I stand alongside you and recognize that we need to do more to enhance our services around victim services. So thank you. Commissioner Perdue?
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to thank the young people for coming and speaking tonight. You all have a bright future ahead of you. You all are speaking truth to power, and these are things that we all can do something about. You talked about kind of in your circle conversations you're having. We see some movement at the federal and state level about trying to ban flavored tobacco and flavored vapes that are targeted towards young people, because there's big money there, right? Even though it's not good for your health, good for your development. So just want to thank you for highlighting a lot of important issues for us tonight. I feel like we just had a whole day full of like young people showing out, and that just makes me so warm and fuzzy inside. So thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. It was good to have our Mayor's Youth Council members with us this morning as well. Deputy City Clerk?
We have an election coming up in 2 weeks, approximately. GRPS election is an excellent time to exercise your right to vote.
Yeah, thanks for highlighting that. City Attorney? City Manager, birthday boy, man? Birthday City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor, for letting everybody know there's one more year around the sun for me, which I'm happy to spend today with City Commission. Lots of good work today. The work on continuation of supporting our Public Arts Festival Art Prize, very much appreciated by the Commission, as well as supporting the work for veterans, people who have served our country very honorably, and having a place for them to be and belong at Veterans Memorial Park with the work with Has Heart. So appreciate that effort there, and helping to support the retail shop that we are setting up on the park site, as well as I'm really excited about the blight elimination program today, over $2.5 million that will be utilized in targeted areas in our city, and we're looking forward to having more discussion on that, as well as heard some commentary earlier today about what are we doing for mental health, and one of the budget ordinances that was approved this evening was for the continuation of substance abuse and mental health grant for the Drug Sobriety Court. So very pleased with that, as well as the briefings we heard this morning on New Americans and their continued importance, not only for culture, but also the economic impact. So really pleased with our partners from the Chamber. And you've heard a little bit today about the communication plan, how we are trying to both improve communication internally and externally. And I will say that because I'm very surprised to hear any conversation about change in protocol about public work projects and lack of notification to residents or any of our business corridors in the areas. And so that still is practice and protocol. And so if there is someone who has not been notified, Lou, would you raise your hand, please? I ask that you would notice Lou of the location of the project, and we'll see if we can follow up and see what happened. But I did check with my senior staff, and there has been no change in our practice or policy. So if there are things that are happening, we need to find out and make sure that we address them. Thank you.
Thanks, City Manager, and I'll end by thanking everyone again for coming out tonight and joining us. And I'll just add a couple things. Today, if you didn't see, we did get support from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation for a big project called Factory Yards here in our city. We'll have hundreds of units of housing, so it's a really significant project over on Godfrey. Glad to see that move forward. And then also last week, I was able to go and celebrate the groundbreaking at Valley Field. So many of you who are familiar with the West Side know that that's a really special place in our city that has been in need of some love for quite some time. And I've been able to work with the fans of Valley Field to help raise money to get that field back to where it should be. A really great place on the West Side. So a little over $4 million project going on over there, and we'll be excited to get out there next year once that redevelopment is done and those investments are made. And then we have a couple other big ones coming up. So I'm excited for us to move forward with MLK Park Lodge. It's been on our priority list for a long time. And then we'll be celebrating the groundbreaking both for the redevelopment over at Lion Square and the Public Museum side as well. So a lot of great projects happening in addition to the work we continue to do to connect trails, knowing that those spaces are so critical as we try to build a place where people have healthy, safe places to go. And so for all of that work, I want to thank all the city staff that have worked on that, but also all of our community partners. Every single one of these projects have taken a lot of people, both in the private sector and the public sector, to make them come to fruition. So with that, I'll wish everyone a good night. Please be safe and enjoy the little bit of warm weather we have left. Thanks.
Mayor Blake.